Hey friends, this is Summer Danae with another pattern. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a newborn hat with all double crochet. I'm going to be working in the round. So this is what the top of the hat looks like. You can see it's concentric circles. So this is what it would look like if I changed colors every round, which is pretty fun. So I'm working in the round. Sometimes you can work in a spiral where instead of joining to here and then chaining for a new row, you can just put your double into this stitch. The beginning can look a little goofy, but then you start to work in a spiral and it can save you a lot of time. And then it just takes a little bit of trickery at the end to make sure that it's got a smooth edge instead of just this hard edge that you have to end. You just taper it off. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm going to be showing you guys how to work in rounds. And this newborn hat, the way that I start my round is going to be chain 3 and then put 12 double crochets into that the third chain from the hook. There are a couple of different ways to work in the round on a hat. You can do the magic circle. I love the magic circle because it means that there's not this little hole at the back, or at the top rather. So this hole actually isn't very big. So if you don't mind it, I don't mind it, and I think it's great. There's the magic circle, or magic ring, depending on who you are. And that is not something we are going to learn today. It's just a little extra, and I want to do more beginner stuff. And then there's also, you can make a ring out of like a chain 4 or chain 5 and put all your stitches into that ring, just like how we started the granny square. And I'm not going to do that either. That's really not my favorite way because it's kind of hard to see. So this is the way that we are going to do it. But I highly recommend, if you're up for the challenge, learning how to do the magic circle. And maybe I'll do a video sometime on how to do that as well. But I recommend it. And if this hole drives you crazy, you can always just add a pom-pom and call it a day. This one in particular is double crochet because doubles are tall and fast. Half doubles are great. Half double is my favorite, but sometimes it's tricky for beginners to learn because where the top of the stitch is kind of runs into that yarn over stitch. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. Please enjoy your day. But half doubles can look tricky. So I didn't want tricky. I wanted easy peasy. So doubles are the way to go. It's a little bit airier. I mean, you can't see daylight right now, which is pretty cool. I guess you can see a little bit. It's a little breezy, but not that big of a deal. And doing a hat in single crochet, don't do that. It's not very stretchy, and really save the singles like this for stuffed animals. That's pretty cool. So we have not covered any patterns that have to use gauge. So gauge is basically measuring how big your stitches are to get the item the exact size the pattern says. I love how I'm just sitting here talking and just showing you this hat over and over again. Look. So gauge is how you know that your hat is actually going to fit a newborn and not be too small or too big. I do not like patterns that require a gauge swatch. I don't like messing with gauge. It makes me crazy. It's just work and I'm lazy. So I prefer to get one hat pattern down, really, see if it fits me, and then call that adult large and go for it. But if you're making hats for babies, it's kind of important that they fit. But usually I stick to things like scarves that don't have gauge. You just make them the dimensions that you want, and it's great. So anywho, I made a gauge swatch for my pattern in particular. My gauge might be unique to me, and for that, I deeply apologize. That gauge is a pain, but maybe you can learn how to just go for good enough. If you want to err on the side of caution and have your pattern or your hat be just a little bit big, baby can grow into it, which is pretty cool. this is acrylic. This is Red Heart Super Saver, a whole variety of colors around here. So this stuff doesn't shrink. It's acrylic. So don't tell yourself that. That's not going to work. It might even stretch as the person wears it over and over again, but it washes really well. And I'm trying to remember, it might get bigger as people wear it, kind of adjusts to their head, but I can't swear to that. So this is what they call a gauge swatch. I don't really know how big they're supposed to make them. I think you're supposed to make it 4 inches by 4 inches. I don't know. I hate gauge swatches, so I just kind of make things up. So my swatch in particular, I made it nice and big. For me, 3 stitches across, I'll zoom in, sorry. 3 stitches across for me is about an inch. And I'll show you that with a ruler in just a second. And then 2 rows is also an inch. So if you look at like 3 stitches across and 2 rows, that's about an inch squared. So this handy guy, I highly recommend getting one. I don't think they're that expensive, but you don't have to buy one. Please, if money is tight or you're not into stuff, don't buy this. It's got a centimeter ruler at the top, and it's got inches on the bottom, and then this side, it got kind of bent up in my bag. And it also has these really cool things where you can stick your hook in. Now, it won't work if you've got a hook that's got a squishy handle, but you can stick the hook into whatever hole, and wherever it fits perfectly, that's the size it is, because sometimes stuff gets rubbed off, or your grandmother gives you a bunch of stuff, or somebody's Nana passed away, and you're like, what size is this? This guy will tell you. And if you don't want to buy it, your friend probably has one, so just borrow hers. It's great. It's great for the ruler. So back to the topic at hand. So you kind of line it up, and for me, try to make this not bleh. Hey, so I lined it up over here at the beginning of the stitch, and you can see that I get pretty close to exactly 3 stitches per inch, except over here it looks more like 7.5, or just kidding, 6.5 for this 2-inch mark, which tells you it's not perfect. Imperfect is fun. Who needs perfect? So you just kind of have to fiddle with it or measure it and go, you know what? Their kid has a big head. I'm going to go a size up or whatever. Also top to bottom. So I'm going to align this at the bottom of the row right here. And it's about 2 rows for an inch. And you can see, I'm going to lower it, sorry, to catch that row. And it's just shy of 2 inches for 4 rows. If you don't have one of these guys, you can always use a regular ruler, or I like to use this guy as well. He's floppy, so he can't always be trusted, but you can still get the same pieces of information, about 3 stitches. Hello. 3 stitches per inch. Now, for me, this is Red Heart Super Saver and an eye hook. It's 5.5 millimeters. So if you're not getting, if you're getting 4 stitches per inch, that means that you're crocheting tighter than I am. So you can either go up a hook size and see if that does anything, or you can try to stitch looser. Really, changing how tight or how loose you stitch isn't my favorite, because it means that you might be inconsistent later. If you're in a hurry later, or if you're in the middle of something and don't remember, oh yeah, I have to work really loosely, you might goof it. And nah, let's not do that. So I would recommend going up or down a hook size. And if you're like, Summer, we just talked about it, I don't want to spend a bunch of money on crochet stuff. Hooks aren't that expensive. I would recommend getting a J, 1 size up, and then an H, 1 size down. The millimeters can be a little bit different than what this guy says the J and H's are, but really, they're like maybe $2, not quite $2 for just the plain aluminum ones at Walmart. So I recommend it, but I use the eye most often. And if you're like, Summer, I'm not getting your gauge, then maybe you make the hat that says 3 to 6 months, and that might be your 0 to 3 month size. That way it fits. And on the pattern that I'm writing, which you may not ever see, email me if you'd like it. On the pattern that I'm writing, I've got the dimensions of the hat. So my newborn hat is, this isn't that great of a view, and I'm very sorry. It's supposed to be 5 inches, or what am I doing? Summer. It's supposed to be 6 inches by 12 inches, so it's 6 inches. Don't listen to anything I'm saying. I'm all turned around. It's 5 inches, top to bottom. Mercy me. 5 inches top to bottom, because newborn babies, from the crown to the base of their ear, on average, are about 5 inches. So this will cover their ears, which is nice. And then the circumference, which is just the measurement around, long fancy math word, is 12 inches. So it's 6 in half, so double it because all the way around, and it's 12 inches. Now, a lot of newborn heads are 13 and a half inches around, but that's okay because this will stretch. They call that negative ease. It means you want to make it just a little bit smaller than you need so that it has a little bit of stretch, because you don't want the hat to just go thunk completely over their head and be perfect. You want it to kind of stretch a little bit. Versus something like a shirt or a sweater, you want it to hang away from the body just a little bit. You want it to be just a little bit bigger than your body is. That way it doesn't cling to you and make you look silly. So those are the basics on gauge and swatches and hats and dimensions. If you have questions, you can email me or put them in the comments. I feel like I talked really fast, and I'm sorry for that. I hate gauge. I think I said that a second ago. But just go for whatever you have to do to get the final dimensions, and that will be great. I am going to stop the video here, and we will call this video done. My phone doesn't like to upload big files, so I'm going to upload this one, and then I'm going to do 2 more videos to supplement this. 1 on how to make the actual hat, and then 2 finishing off, and then some extra tips and tricks regarding weighing your yarn. All right, cool. I'll see you in a second.